My name is Haim. I'm 78 now, born in Odessa long ago, back when the world felt smaller and harder. I moved to Israel after the war, carrying stories like stones in my pocket. Stories from the old country, from families like yours and mine. Let me tell you one that still shakes me, about a man named David, a simple tailor from Kyiv. He thought he had everything, a wife, Sarah, 2 boys growing up strong. But one night, everything cracked open. It started like this. David pushed through the door late, the shop's worries heavy on his shoulders. The house was dim, just a single candle flickering on the table, like the light from our Sabbath lamps. Sarah sat there, her face turned away, tears tracing lines down her cheeks. The boys, Israel and little Aaron, were asleep in the next room. But the air, oh, it hung thick, like smoke from a fire you can't see. David reached for her hand. "Sarah, what is it?" But she pulled back, her voice a whisper that cut deep. "You don't talk, David. You never do. Not about the little things, the hurts that build up day by day. This silence, it's killing us." He froze, his heart pounded like thunder in his chest. What had he done? All day at the shop, stitching hems and mending coats, he'd told himself his quiet ways were a kindness, not burdening her with the world's weight. But now, seeing her eyes, empty as an unlit room, he wondered. The candle sputtered, casting shadows that danced like ghosts. David sat down, heavy, the chair creaking under him. "I thought I was protecting you," he said, but the words tasted wrong, like bread gone stale. Sarah didn't look up. She just folded her hands the way she did when praying the Modeh Ani in the mornings, thanking God for another day. But tonight, no thanks came easy. David glanced around their small home, the walls papered with faded photos of happier times, weddings and holidays. Yet something felt off, like a thread pulled loose in a seam. He remembered the boys' laughter earlier that week, how it had faded when he brushed off their questions about school, about friends. "Later," he'd said, "always later." And now, this. Sarah stood slowly, blowing out the candle. Darkness swallowed the room. "Go to bed, David. Tomorrow's another day of nothing said." But sleep wouldn't come for him. Lying there in the chill, David felt the first real fear creep in. Why was their home, once warm as a Shabbat table, turning cold? He thought of his own father, a baker who never raised his voice, but never shared his pains either. That silence had built walls between them, walls that lasted till the old man died. Was he doing the same? The clock ticked on, each second a reminder. By morning, as the first light crept through the curtains, David made a quiet vow. He had to understand this, to dig into the habits he'd carried like invisible baggage. What if the real thief in their family wasn't money, or neighbors, or hard times? But something closer, something he did, every day without thinking? And that's when he saw it, tucked under the table, an old letter from his mother, yellowed with age. She'd written it years ago before she passed. "My son," it began, "beware the stone in your heart. It starts small, an unspoken word, a held-back tear. But it grows, David, until it crushes everything." His breath caught. The stone. Was that the grudge he'd nursed against his brother over a forgotten loan? Or the way he let small arguments with Sarah slide into silence, piling up like unspoken prayers? He read on, her handwriting shaky but true. "In our family, we learn from the Torah. Words matter, like birds that fly free if you let them. But hold them in, and they peck at your soul." David folded the letter, his hands trembling. This wasn't just about one bad night. It was bigger, a pattern woven through their days. The boys woke then, yawning, asking for breakfast. Israel, the older one at 12, shot him a look, wary, like he sensed the storm. "Papa, why do you and Mama always stop talking?" The question hit like a slap. David opened his mouth, but nothing came. Another silence. Sarah busied herself in the kitchen, her back a wall. That's when it hit him full force. Their family was slipping away, not from outside troubles, but from these quiet habits that stole their joy bit by bit. How many times had he ignored the small talks, let hurts fester like that stone? He couldn't ignore it anymore. As Sarah set the table, David cleared his throat. "We need to talk, all of us, about what's really going on." She paused, eyes meeting his for the first time that day, hope flickering, but doubt too. The boys gathered, curious. David felt the weight of it all. Who or what was behind this slow unraveling? Was it just him, or something passed down like an old family recipe gone sour? He promised himself, and them, that he'd find out. Starting now, he'd chase the truth, no matter how deep it led. But as he spoke, a shadow crossed the window. Footsteps outside? Someone listening? David's resolve hardened. This was his fight. For his family. For the happiness they'd lost without even knowing. Oh, where were we? Ah, yes, David, sitting there at breakfast with that letter burning in his mind, the first light of hope flickering like a new candle. He looked at Sarah and the boys, their faces a mix of confusion and quiet hurt, and thought, "This can't go on. I've got to start somewhere." So he decided on something simple, something from the old ways that always warmed our homes back in Odessa, the Sabbath table. Not just any meal, but a real gathering. No work talk, no rushing off. Just family, bread, and stories shared like the blessings in the Torah. That Friday, David came home early from the shop. He rolled up his sleeves, just like his father used to, and set the table with care. The good cloth, the challah he'd baked himself, lumpy, but from the heart. Tonight, he told himself, we talk, we make time for each other. Sarah watched from the doorway, her eyes softening a touch. Maybe this was it, the turn they needed. The boys tumbled in, excited by the smells, chicken soup simmering, the air sweet with onions, and memory. Israel, the older one, even helped set the places, though he grumbled a bit about missing his friend's game outside. As they sat down, the candles lit, David said the Kiddush, his voice steady for the first time in weeks. "Blessed are we, together like this." It felt good, like a weight lifting. They ate slowly, and David tried. "Israel, tell me about school. What made you laugh today?" The boy blinked, surprised, then shared a story about a silly teacher. Aaron chimed in with his own chatter, and Sarah smiled, a real one, not forced. David thought, "See, this is what we've been missing, just being here, no distractions." He even recalled the Modeh Ani prayer they'd say as kids, thanking the day before it even started. "We've forgotten to be grateful for these moments," he said softly. Sarah nodded, and for a second the room glowed warmer than the candles. But then came the first snag, small at first, like a loose thread you ignore. Israel finished eating quick and stood up. "Papa, can I go now? My friends are waiting. This is nice, but—" He trailed off, looking away. David felt a pang. Why couldn't the boy stay? "Just a little longer, son, for family." Israel shrugged. "You never made time before. Feels fake now." The words stung, but David let it pass. "He's young," he told himself. After the boys cleared out, he and Sarah lingered. He pulled out an old album from the shelf, dusty photos of their wedding, the boys as babies. "Look at us," he said. "We were happy. We can get that back with nights like this." Sarah touched his hand. Maybe. Hope bloomed in him then, false as it was, sweet but fragile. Simple dinners, shared time, that would fix it all. Or so he believed, as the evening faded into quiet contentment. Yet under that warmth, shadows lingered. David didn't see how his habit of pushing work aside only on Fridays masked the deeper neglect, The weekdays when he'd come home silent, head in the clouds, letting days slip by without a real hello. The table helped, sure, but it was like patching a roof in a storm. The leaks were elsewhere. A few days later, the hope started to crack. David kept up the effort, planning another family night, but life pulled at him. The shop was slow, debts whispering in his ear like old ghosts. He hadn't told Sarah about the loan he'd taken last month just to keep things afloat. No need to worry her, he thought. That was his way. Secrets in the money, tucked away like hidden matzah. But during their next quiet evening, as the boys played outside, Sarah found the bank statement in his coat pocket. Her face went pale. "David, what is this? Hundreds owed, and you said nothing?" He stammered, caught off guard. "It's temporary, Sarah. The shop will pick up." But she wasn't having it. Temporary? Like the silences? The hurts we never air out? This isn't just money. It's us pretending everything's fine when it's crumbling. The air thickened again, that same heavy smoke from the first night. Then the phone rang, sharp as a judge's gavel. It was the bank. Final notice. "Pay up, or we take the house." David's world tilted. Not just a family tiff now. This threatened everything. The boys' future, their little home in Kyiv, the life they'd built like a sturdy tent against the winds. He paced the room, heart racing. "I thought it was just bad luck, the economy biting us like it did back home." But Sarah's eyes told another story. "No, David, it's the lies we tell ourselves. You hide the money troubles, I hide my loneliness. And now, the children feel it too." Israel burst in then, hearing the raised voices. "What's happening? Are we losing everything?" The question hung there, a knife to the gut. The stakes soared, not personal anymore, but the whole family's world at risk. David saw it clear. These habits weren't small. They were the roots pulling the tree down. Desperation set in. He couldn't fix this alone. "I need help," he admitted to Sarah that night as she turned away again. "My uncle, Rabbi Haim, he's wise, like the elders in the shtetls. I'll go to him tomorrow." It meant opening old wounds, spilling family secrets long buried. But what choice? As he lay awake, the realization hit hard. I'd always blamed the money woes on the outside world, the neighbors, the times. But no, it's a mirror to my own deceptions, reflecting back the trust I've stolen day by day. The next morning, David set out for the synagogue, the old building in Kyiv's Jewish quarter, standing like a sentinel. Rabbi Haim, his uncle, was there early, poring over the Talmud by the window. Tall and gentle, with eyes that saw through you, he greeted David with a warm embrace. "Nephew, what brings you? You look like a man carrying the world." David poured it out, the silences, the grudges building like stones, the neglected evenings, the hidden debts. "Uncle, how do we stop it? Our family, it's slipping away." The rabbi listened, nodding slowly. "Ah, David, the Talmud teaches us a single word can change a life, but words unspoken, they chain you." He shared a story from the texts about a man who hoarded complaints like coins, only to find his home empty. David felt a spark. Maybe gratitude was the key. "Start with thanks," the rabbi said. "Not grand gestures, but daily, like the drops that wear the stone smooth. Thank Sarah for the small things, the boys for their light. It carves a path through the hardness." Emboldened, David hurried home. That evening, he tried it. "Sarah, thank you for the meal. It's like a gift every time." She paused, surprised, a faint smile breaking through. Israel and Aaron noticed too, chattering more freely. For a moment, it worked. The air lightened, like clouds parting. "See," David thought, "this is the way out. Simple thanks, mending the tears." Even the money talk eased a bit. They planned together, no more secrets. Hope surged again, brighter this time. He felt stronger, the family drawing closer around the table. But oh, that hope was a trick, a Pyrrhic win at best. As the words of thanks flowed, something deeper stirred. Sarah opened up about her own controls, how she'd pushed the boys to be perfect, tying them with expectations like ropes of duty. And David? In thanking her, he slipped into directing. Now let's do this my way. Plan the budget like I say. Her face hardened. Always leading, David. Even in thanks, you pull the strings. The argument exploded, old patterns clashing. Israel yelled, "You both treat us like puppets?" Aaron cried, running to his room. By nightfall, Sarah packed a bag. "I need space, with the boys, just tonight." The door shut behind them, leaving David alone in the echoing house. The table, once warm, now mocked him. Empty plates, cold soup. He'd tried so hard, given everything in that desperate push. But the cost? Unbearable. The rabbi's words rang hollow now. The thanks had cracked open the control hiding beneath, unleashing a storm worse than before. David sank to the floor, head in hands. All lost. These habits, they're the noose around our necks, tightening with every breath. No light left, just darkness, thick as the night outside. David sat there on the cold floor long after the door clicked shut, the house emptier than it had ever been. The silence wasn't just quiet now, it was a roar, echoing all the unspoken words from years gone by. He thought of the boys' faces, twisted in confusion, and Sarah's weary eyes, eyes that once sparkled like the stars over the Black Sea in my Odessa days. "What have I done?" he whispered to the walls. The letter from his mother lay crumpled nearby, its words mocking him. The stone in the heart, the silences, the hidden debts, the controls. All of it piling up like debts unpaid. He'd tried the thanks, followed the rabbi's advice, but it had only torn things wider. Now, with them gone, even for one night, he felt the full weight. No family, no home worth having. Just a man alone, staring at the flickering streetlight through the window, wondering if dawn would bring anything but more emptiness. Tears came then, slow at first, then hot and unrelenting. He hadn't cried like this since his father passed, back when the grudges between them hung unfinished. "Why does it always end this way?" David pounded his fist lightly on the floor, the pain sharp but distant. Memories flooded in, the early days with Sarah, dancing at their wedding under the chuppah, promising to build a life like the tents of our ancestors, strong against the storms. But somewhere along the line, those habits had crept in, ignoring the little talks over coffee, letting hurts fester like untreated wounds, skipping evenings for the shop's endless needs. The money secrets, the ungrateful shrugs, the urge to steer everyone his way, and worst, running from fights instead of facing them head-on. It was a cycle, round and round, stealing their joy without a sound. As the night deepened, David rose wearily and lit a single candle, the emergency one from the kitchen drawer, meant for blackouts. Its flame danced, small but steady, casting a warm glow on the empty table. He sat there, watching it, and something shifted inside. Not hope, not yet, but a quiet remembering. His father's voice came back, faint as a prayer. "Words are birds, David. Set them free, or they cage you." And the Talmud, that old book of wisdom the rabbi loved, with its tales of families mending through truth, not force. He pieced it together then, like threads in a seam. All 7 habits weren't separate enemies. They were one chain, forged from his own fears, the fear of being seen as weak, of opening the heart to hurt. But what if the real strength was in breaking it? Not with more plans or thanks alone, but with raw honesty, gathering them like a minyan for souls, 10 strong to pray and heal. The epiphany hit like morning light breaking through clouds. "It's not the world against us," he murmured. It's me against the shadows I've let grow. He saw the pattern clear. Each habit fed the next, a loop from his childhood passed down unwittingly. To stop it, he'd need to risk everything, call them back, not to argue or control, but to lay it all bare. No more running from the fights, face them as equals under God's eye. It was desperate, this plan, inviting Sarah and the boys to the synagogue, the heart of their community, for an open talk. What if they refused? What if the truth shattered them for good? But in that candle's glow, David felt a spark. This was his last chance, the only way to reclaim the light they'd lost. He blew out the flame, but the warmth lingered. Tomorrow he'd act. For them, for the family he almost let slip away. Morning came gray and heavy, but David moved with purpose. He wrote a note to Sarah at her sister's, where they'd stayed. Please come to the synagogue at noon, not to fight, to talk true, like we should have always. Bring the boys. I love you. His hand shook as he folded it, but he delivered it himself, knocking softly before leaving. Then to the old building in the Jewish quarter, where the air smelled of aged wood and candle wax. Rabbi Haim was there, sweeping the steps. Uncle, David said, voice steady now, I need the space for my family, to end this cycle once and for all. The rabbi's eyes twinkled with understanding. The sanctuary is yours, nephew. Truth needs a holy place. By noon they arrived, Sarah hesitant, Israel sullen, Aaron clinging to her skirt. The synagogue was quiet, sunlight slanting through stained glass like colored blessings. David stood at the bema, the raised platform for readings, heart pounding. Thank you for coming, he began, voice echoing softly. I've been wrong. All this time, thinking my ways protected us. But they stole our happiness, the silences that built walls, the grudges like stones weighing us down. Sarah crossed her arms, but listened. And the evenings I let slip by, chasing work instead of you. The money I hid, thinking it spared your worry. The thanks I forgot to give, letting days pass ungrateful. Israel shifted. Papa, you always say later. It hurts. The words landed like arrows, but David nodded. I know, son. And the control. I tried to steer you all like I knew best. Even the fights I'd run from them, avoiding the hard words. Aaron piped up, small voice brave. Why can't we just be happy like before? The room tensed, stakes rising with every breath. Sarah stepped forward, tears welling. David, it's not just you. I've held back too, my own fears making me distant. The air crackled. It could go either way. David felt the pull to defend, to take charge again, but he remembered the epiphany. No more. We're in this together. Like a minyan, each voice counts. Let's name these habits, the 7 thieves, and promise to fight them as one. Back and forth it went, voices rising then falling. Israel accused the family of ignoring his dreams, Sarah of the loneliness in her heart. Tempers flared. David almost snapped, old control rising like bile. But he breathed deep, drawing on that spark. Wait. See it for what it is. These aren't attacks. They're cries from the chain we all share. He shared his mother's letter, the Talmud's wisdom on forgiveness, as water-washing stones. We've repeated this loop from my father to me, but today we break it with words set free. Sarah softened first, reaching for his hand. You're right. I've been silent too, nursing my own stones. The boys nodded, tears mixing with relief. One last turn. Israel hesitated. But what if we can't? David knelt to his level. We will, starting now. Daily talks, no secrets, time carved out like Sabbath rest. Gratitude like prayers, letting go of control, facing fights with love. The tension peaked, then broke. They embraced there in the holy light, the chain snapping link by link. Not perfect, but real. A victory hard won, the habits named and tamed. As they left the synagogue arm in arm, David whispered to Sarah, "We did it." And for the first time in months, she believed him. In the days that followed, the dust settled slowly, like ash after a fire. The house in Kyiv felt different, not fixed overnight, but breathing easier. David paid the bank with a small loan from the rabbi's community fund. No more hiding. Evenings became ritual, a walk after dinner, sharing the day's birdsong, the good and the hard. Sarah laughed more, her voice light as she recounted stories from her youth. The boys opened up, Israel dreaming aloud about school plays, Aaron drawing pictures of their strong tent family. Months turned to a year, and change deepened. The shop steadied, but David cut hours. No more stealing time from home. They lit candles weekly, reciting Modeh Ani together, gratitude flowing like wine at the table. One spring, they made the big leap. Papers came through, and they moved to Israel, to a little apartment near Haifa, where the sea reminded David of Odessa's shores. "A new start," Sarah said, unpacking boxes with the boys. Rabbi Haim visited often, his tales from the Talmud weaving into their evenings, teaching without preaching. David changed most of all. The man who'd carried silence like a cloak now spoke freely, his words birds soaring. No more stones in the heart, hurts aired like laundry in the sun. He watched Israel grow confident, Aaron kind-hearted, Sarah blooming like a desert flower. Life wasn't without bumps, arguments still came, but they faced them, no running. One evening, as the sun dipped into the Mediterranean, David lit the Sabbath candles alone for a moment, their flames steady and bright. "This light," he thought, gazing at his family gathered round, "it's the truth we almost lost. Habits steal, but honesty guards." The glow filled the room, a symbol of their mended world, warm, enduring, a Shalom Bayit reborn from the ashes. The sun hung low over Haifa that evening, painting the sea in soft golds and blues as David stood on the balcony of their new home. Sarah was inside, humming an old tune while setting the table, the boys chasing each other with laughter that echoed like bells. The move to Israel had been a fresh page, debts settled, the synagogue in Kyiv a memory now, replaced by this salty breeze and the promise of roots in holy soil. David leaned on the rail, breathing deep, the weight of the past year lifting like mist. The arguments, the silences, the hidden hurts, they seemed distant now, tamed by time and talk. "Finally," he murmured to himself, a quiet smile creasing his face. "This nightmare is over. We've won back our home, our hearts." The family gathered then, candles lit, the challah broken with shared blessings. Peace settled over them, calm as the waves below, and for the first time in ages, David slept sound, dreaming not of shadows, but of light. But in the hush of that new life, as the months blended into a gentle rhythm, Sabbath walks along the shore, evening stories from the Torah that drew them closer. A small crack appeared. It was nothing dramatic, just a quiet moment one afternoon. David was sorting old letters from Kyiv, the ones they'd packed in haste, when his mother's words caught his eye again. "Beware the stone in your heart." He paused, the sea breeze stirring the papers, and a chill ran through him unrelated to the wind. Why had he never questioned it deeper? The habits, the silences, the grudges, the skipped moments, the money secrets, the forgotten thanks, the controlling hands, the flight from hard words. They hadn't come from nowhere, not from the world outside, not from bad luck or neighbor's envy. No, it dawned on him then, sharp as a sudden rain. It wasn't about the external storms at all. Not the debts that threatened their roof, nor the fights that drove Sarah away that night, nor even the boys' growing distance. Those were just the echoes, the symptoms playing out like shadows on a wall. The real enemy, the one that had stolen their family happiness all those years, wasn't out there in the harsh world or the pull of daily grind. It was his own fear, the deep, unspoken terror of vulnerability, the naivety that masked itself as strength. He'd inherited it from his father, that quiet pride in handling things alone, turning every potential openness into a wall. The silences? Not protection, but fear of his own weakness showing. The grudges? A shield against the pain of true connection. Even the move to Israel, the victory, it was just another layer, running from the inner work still undone. Looking back, the whole story reframed itself in his mind, tragic and clear as a parable from the Talmud. That first night, bursting through the door to Sarah's tears, not a random crack, but the fear bubbling up, making him clam up instead of reach out. The Sabbath tables, the thanks to the rabbi. They'd felt like triumphs, but really, they were detours, bandaging the surface while the root fear festered, controlling the pace, dictating when to fix things on his terms. The synagogue confession? Brave, yes, but even there, he'd steered the talk, subtly guiding to his epiphany. And Sarah's hesitations, the boy's doubts, they weren't rebellions against him, but mirrors reflecting his own unhealed shadows back. Every win had been partial because he hadn't faced the core, the enemy within, that naive belief he could outrun his fears without fully bearing his soul. It had cost them dearly, nights alone, tears unspoken, turning their Shalom Bayit into a fragile truce. David sat back, the letters forgotten, a heavy truth settling in his chest. All this time, he whispered, I fought the wrong battle. And in that moment, David's tale stopped being just one man's quiet struggle in Kyiv or by the sea. It became a mirror for every soul listening, yours, mine, those weary hearts seeking deeper meaning after life's long roads. We've all built families thinking the thieves are the big storms, money woes, children's rebellions, a partner's distance. But what if the most dangerous enemy we battle our whole lives isn't the people around us or the circumstances that press in? What if it's the shadow we refuse to see in ourselves, that fear disguised as wisdom, that naivety we call protection? The answer to that, friends, is the heart of what comes next. But what happened next with David and his family? That wasn't the heart of it, friends. No, the real story lies in why it all unfolded that way. Why good people, like you and me in our later years, let these quiet thieves slip into our homes and steal the warmth we've earned over a lifetime. Have you ever paused late at night when the house is still and wondered why? The arguments repeat, why the silences grow longer even when love is still there under the dust. It's not fate or bad luck, not the world's cruelties alone. Oh no, what David faced, and what I saw in so many families back in Odessa, and here in Israel too, is a deeper law of the heart, one our sages in the Torah hinted at without spelling it out plain. Let me share it with you now, like a secret passed over tea, because too few of us look this way. It's the kind of truth that, once seen, changes how you see your own table, your own chair pulled up beside the ones you hold dear. You see, as David watched the sun set over that Haifa shore, with Sarah's hand in his and the boy's laughter filling the air, he didn't pat himself on the back for the victory. Instead, a quiet question nagged at him. Why had it taken so long to notice? Why did the habits, those silences, the stored grudges, the skipped moments, feel like old friends until they weren't? I remember him telling me this over a walk one evening, his voice low like a confession. Uncle Haim, he said, it wasn't the bank or the fights that nearly broke us. It was me, repeating shadows from my father's house, thinking they were protection. And that's the key, my friends. These 7 habits aren't outsiders knocking at the door. They're echoes from inside, from the fears we carry like hidden stones, the pride that whispers, I know best, the old wounds we nurse instead of airing them out. Think on it. The silence David used? It wasn't kindness. It was fear of vulnerability, a shield from his own boyhood pains. The grudges? Not justice, but a way to hold on to control, lest someone see our soft spots. Skipping family time for work. That's the pull of duty gone wrong, chasing worth in busyness while the real treasure sits waiting. Hiding money troubles? Deception born of shame, the Yetzer Hara, the inner pull, tricking us into isolation. Forgetting thanks? That's ingratitude as armor, blocking the blessings we already have. The urge to steer everyone? Pride's rope, tying love into knots. And running from conflicts? Avoidance, the coward's path, letting small fires smolder into infernos. Each one a signal, a cry from the soul saying, "Look here, mend this." But we don't, do we? We walk the same circle, generation to generation, until the home feels like a stranger's. David broke it by facing that mirror, not blaming Sarah or the boys, but owning the cycle as his own. The Talmud says a word can save a life, he told me. But the hardest words are to ourselves. And you? In your quiet moments with the lines on your face from years well lived, ask, which of these habits is your shadow, stealing the peace you've built? It's not too late, never is, as long as breath comes. See them as teachers, not thieves, and speak them out. Let the birds fly free. Your family, like David's, might just find the light again. So, what cycle are you ready to step from today? What one habit, if named aloud, could light your own candle brighter? Stories like David's, pulling back the veil on life's hidden laws, we share here often, gentle mirrors for the soul. To catch the next one that might shift your world just a little, you know the way. Stay with us and let's walk this path together.